So just to talk you through what we'll do today, my name's Geraint. I'm an engagement manager for British Telecom, and the program I'm running is called the Digital Voice Program. These slides that I've got here will probably take me maybe 20 minutes just to run them through, and then we'll have plenty of time at the end for a bit of a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them at the end, and we'll be able to talk you through exactly what's going to be happening over the next couple of years with your telephone landlines. So with that being said, I'll just jump straight into the first slide. So the headline is that the UK's landline telephone network, so that's the phone that you have in your house plugged into the wall, they're being decommissioned. Now, this isn't just a BT decision. This is going to be an industry-wide thing that's happening. So every telephone provider of a landline is following the same process. It's an industry-wide thing. It's backed by the British government. So yeah, there's many reasons behind it. But some of the cables have been in the ground for up to 100 years. We can't upgrade them anymore. Parts are scarce. And it's getting very, very expensive to keep running the system, and it's very, very power hungry too, and not very good for the environment. Now, the upgrade itself, it's a once in a generation upgrade. For all of you on the call here today, the telephone kind of wires supplied to your house, the most likely scenario is that they've been the same cables that have been there since your home was built. Now, this upgrade will be the first upgrade of its type, in your lifetime, and certainly in my lifetime. It'll move us on to a more resilient and sustainable technology, and it's definitely more energy efficient as well. So it's much better for the environment. And the good news is as well is that it's the quality involved in the new system is much better, so it'll give you a better experience overall at home. Now, I know I said that the telephone landline is being decommissioned. But the good news is that the landline isn't going away. You'll still be able to have a home phone service, but the new phone service will be working across the broadband network. Now, it's a simple three-step kind of solution for you, or for the majority of customers. You just need to unplug the phone from the wall and then plug it into the back of your broadband router, which will look something like this one here, and then it'll work. It's very simple, unplug, plug it back in, and then you have a working phone service. Now, the new BT service is called Digital Voice. And the reason why I mention that is that, as I said, it's an industry-wide changeover, and all different providers will have their own names for the service, but we at BT are calling it Digital Voice. One or two other providers also call it Digital Voice, but you might find, for example, Sky may have a different name for it, or TalkTalk may have a different name for it, but we call it Digital Voice. Now, as I've said earlier, it comes with many benefits, but some key callouts as well for you to give you peace of mind is that when the switchover happens, you will get to keep the same number. So the same telephone number that you've always had, you'll be able to continue using. So that minimizes any impact for yourselves. When you do move across to Digital Voice, it'll be for the same price. So there's no additional costs for yourselves as consumers. With your telephones, in 99% of cases, you'll be able to continue using the same telephone. In our tests, when we initially launched this product about 6-7 years ago, all of the phones that we tried worked. But what we do know is that some customers, their phones are hardwired into the wall, so they're unable to unplug them from the wall socket. So in those scenarios, you would need to buy a new telephone. But in most scenarios, as long as you've got a tone on your phone when you pick it up, that phone will work. A real big feature for you as a customer is that it has enhanced scam protect features to protect you against fraud. I'm sure everyone on the call here has received a call from somebody pretending to be somebody else, pretend to be from a bank or from British Telecom, even from Amazon, whoever it may be, trying to make you spend money and the like. The good thing is with the new features inside this new network, we'll be able to eliminate the overwhelming majority of those calls. It actually uses artificial intelligence, AI, to recognize those calls and stop them even ringing in your house, which will be a real big benefit for you. It also has the ability to recognize telemarketing calls. So there's companies who are trying to ring you to sell you things, and it'll actually advise you of those beforehand. So you'll pick up the phone and you'll get what we call a whisper. So you'll pick up your phone and it'll say, telemarketing call, do you want to proceed? And you can either cancel that call or you can accept that call. And again, in advance of other calls, if we're not sure if they're a fake call or a genuine call, we'll advise you before you pick up, so you're more wary as you carry on. So the really good benefit there for you as customers to protect you as you move forward, because we're all susceptible to these kind of scam or fraud calls. So there's lots of features built in there to kind of help you recognize those moving forward. The technology itself is what we call VoIP in the industry, which is Voice over Internet Protocol. What that really means is you get crystal clear call quality when you're speaking to somebody else on digital voice as well. So just like today, where we've got really good call quality, you can hear me very clearly. I can hear you very clearly. You'll notice that there's a marked improvement in the quality of calls when we're all on digital voice in the future. So that is a big benefit compared to some of the older lines which are currently in use, which are very noisy, very crackly. And then finally, there's also a three-way calling. So that means you can have three people in three separate homes all talking on the same telephone call. So it's a great way for you to keep in touch with loved ones. Now, the big question, of course, is how will the switchover happen? How will this all kind of come to play out in the communities? We did try previously to just send letters out to people and ask them to make the switch. However, that didn't go too well, and it caused a lot of concern for people. So we kind of paused our original rollout and made a different approach. And we tried to understand what the customers' needs were in the communities and approach things in a slightly different way. And with that, we actually started working with a lot of different charities in lots of different sectors across the UK. You can see some of these charities on here: Age UK, Cares UK. You've got the Rural Services Network. This group is is continuing to grow week by week. We have more and more charities come on in and join us on what we call the Digital Voice Advisory Group. Now, the Digital Voice Advisory Group, or the DVAG as we call them, they keep us on the straight and narrow. They help to make sure that the decisions that we make are the right decisions for the customer base that they look after, and to make sure that any changes, any migrations that we make are going to suit the people that they care for in the community. In Ireland in itself, in Northern Ireland itself, we're working with Age NI. There's a few other groups who I'm speaking to continuously. There are other groups as well which you may recognise, like Supporting Communities or Age NI. As I mentioned, there's Advice NI. There are a few out there who I'm continuing to talk to and work with the smaller groups in the communities as well. So we're always looking for ways we can improve that messaging, and the DVAG group help us do that. And the DVAG themselves, they've actually highlighted 5 groups of customers who we have to take a little bit more care and attention with. And as a result, there are 5 customers, 5 different types of customers who are highlighted here on the screen for you, who we know that the landline is vitally important to. And those customers are those without a mobile phone signal, customers who are vulnerable or have additional needs or disabilities, customers with a healthcare pendant or alarm. So those little bracelets that you have with a button on, where if you fall over, you can press the button and emergency services are called. Then we have our elderly customers who are 75 plus, and then landline only customers, so customers without broadband. We appreciate that these customers, the landline means more to them than to most customers. And as a result, if you fall into one of these 5 categories, we are not migrating you on to digital voice just yet. We'll be doing that in around 12 months' time. We'll continue our efforts across the UK, and then we'll return to Northern Ireland and then put a lot more focus into these 5 groups of people. So again, as I said, we're not moving any of these customers just yet, and we'll do that in due course. But to highlight, some things are different on digital voice than they are on the standard telephone network as it is now. Right now with the telephone network, if there's a power cut, your telephone still works. That's because there's an electrical current which comes down your telephone line. When that is switched off, of course, and you move across onto the new system, if there is a power cut, you will lose your telephone at home because there's the telephone itself is going to be powered from your house. So if there is a power cut, as I've said, you won't have a working telephone. Now, there are ways around this. You can have a battery backup unit, which is the big black box on the left-hand side. That'll give you up to 4 hours worth of battery backup in the event of a power cut. We also have a hybrid phone, which actually switches in between the mobile phone network and the broadband network to provide you with calls. So that's a very handy phone as well, and that will give you up to 8 hours worth of battery power as well. So we've got different kind of solutions there for people who live in areas, very rural areas, which struggle with power cuts. So we can continue to offer you a service for the required time during a power cut that we've been mandated to. And then the other one, which I'm just going to highlight there as well on the right-hand side. Now, this is for people who, this is a brand new product really, it's not quite on the market just yet, but it's called Home Phone Connect. But this is for people who don't have broadband, don't want broadband, but want to have a working phone at home. And what this phone here is, you can see it there. It looks like a normal phone, looks like an everyday phone that would work off the standard telephone network, but actually works off the mobile phone network. So it's an easier migration for a lot of people to move across onto the new technology, but still give you that feel of the home phone experience. Now, what I'll cover next is how we'll actually reach out to customers. Now, as I mentioned previously, we tried before to just blanket right out to everyone and get people to move. It didn't go too well. So what we've tried now is to change our approach and to make it a little bit more personal for you as we go around the UK. And with that, what we've done is we split the UK into 12 regions, and we're working through them step by step. We began in July of this year in the East Midlands, and we moved on to Yorkshire and the Humber. I won't go through them all, of course, but we were in Northern Ireland in September. I led on the region myself. We did a big event in the East Coast and then another on the West Coast. We did lots of small pop-up events in libraries. I was in Coleraine myself, running an event in the library there, and I did one in Ballymena as well. And some of my colleagues did other events around there. We also had a truck traveling around regionally. And to give you a little bit more of a taste of what we did there, is just to show you what we do when we are in the region. So in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide here, we've got a picture of an event we did in Leicester, I think that one was. So what we do is we do 2 large events where we invite over 10,000 people to attend an event. So they get to come in, get their hands on the equipment, and really understand for themselves and have a face-to-face conversation with a human to talk through exactly their own experiences, tell us about their own home setup, and we can talk them through what the fix would mean for them. We run 2 of those events in Northern Ireland. One was in Belfast and one was in Derry, Londonderry. Then the 2 pictures in the centre here, these are from kind of pop-up events, as we call them. So we tend to do these in libraries or community centres in smaller towns or villages around the region. Now, as I said, we did one of these in Coleraine Library itself. Now, these we tend to invite around about 1,000 customers to come on the day to see us. And I remember Coleraine was a very busy one. I saw many customers there. Again, it's the same kind of setup. You get to come on in, get your hands on the equipment, have a one-to-one conversation, talk about your own home experience, home setup, and we can see exactly how we can help there. And then lastly, is the top right-hand picture there is the digital voice truck. This would drive around and stop in different high streets, shopping centres, garden centres, this type of thing. Again, giving people the opportunity to turn up, same kind of conversation again. There's a nice little awning outside, so you can sit outside the truck or actually step inside the truck and sit down inside as well. So have lots of those personal conversations. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're doing this on a regional rollout. We came to Northern Ireland in September. We are currently working through London as we're ending the autumn. As we head through January, we take a bit of a break, but we pick it all back up in the spring. And then once we complete our activities, our first round of activities in the summer, we'll then return and look back towards our first regions, East Midlands, start working through those again to make sure that we target those 5 groups of customers who need a little bit of extra care and attention. So I anticipate we'll be back in Northern Ireland probably towards about Christmas time next year, I would have thought, when we'll really start to focus on those 5 groups of customers who need extra help and support. Now, I've been very fortunate in the time that I've been working in Northern Ireland that I've had lots of support. But as we always say to everyone, we can't do this alone. I'm one person. I can't speak to every single person who needs my help in Northern Ireland. There's just too many people. So what we do with every person, every group that we speak to, we ask for help and support in terms of sharing the story, sharing slides, putting notices on website groups, getting groups like this together of people so I can speak to many people all at once, and help us connect to organizations. It comes again down to simple things like recommended venues and locations of where we should go. As I said, we did come to Coleraine, but again, if there's other venues along the Causeway coast which you believe we should visit to get a really good influx of customers to come on in, then we're more than welcome to listen to. But probably one of the biggest ones for us is actually telecare data. So if any of you have those healthcare pendants that you wear and you have connections into these healthcare associations, we'd be more than willing to listen and take those contacts off you, because we don't want to migrate anyone with a healthcare pendant just yet. We're trying to delay that process for as long as we can. Now that kind of brings me to the end of the slide pack, but what I wanted to show you just briefly and if you're in that scenario, we have one of these. This is a, sorry, you probably can't see it that well. It's a digital voice adapter. What we got here is, it's a simple thing that plugs into the mains. It's got a phone socket in the top, which you pop your phone into, your additional handset around the house, and it's got a little button on the side there. And that little button, you press that one, and you press a button on the side there, and it makes this work. So that means you can have an extension working and your normal home phone working through this. So it's a very, very easy setup, and to try and emphasize how straightforward this is for you. When we run events, we do exit surveys, asking people what they think of the process, how confident they are, and so on. In terms of confidence levels out of 10, people generally score us an 8.9 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of how confident they are to make the switch. So they come in very nervous, they leave very, very confident. It's not a difficult process to make the switch. It's a very, very simple and straightforward one. And many people actually put themselves forward to be switched immediately because, as I said, the swap over process is a very simple one. So I'll stop talking right there and open the floor up for some questions if anybody has any. Right, okay, I saw a hand there from Claire first, I saw. But you might be on mute there, Claire. So Claire, you're on mute there.
How do we let you know if we have a pendant?
Right, okay, so with pendants, you can either call us straight away. You can call us on 150 from your landline.
Yeah.
So 150 is a free phone call. And you can let us know that way. That's the easiest way to let us know. What I would also be advising though is that you push it onto your pendant provider to make sure that they've got a sharing agreement in place with us. So asking them how they are communicating with us. I know that it's the HSCNI that you've got in Northern Ireland who supply, I think, the majority, if not all, of the pendants. We are trying to make them share information with us. At the moment, that's been unsuccessful. They haven't shared any information with us just yet, which is a bit of a frustration. But we're still working on that one, pushing forward. But if you do have a pendant, Claire, what I would suggest is 150 from your landline. Give us a call and just let us know. And what we'll do is we'll mark your account, and then we won't swap you across.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's great. Brian, I think you were next, I think.
Yeah, how does the signal actually come into the house? We have an excellent broadband at the minute, which I understand comes through a cable, which replaced the old landline cable about maybe 5 years ago, or maybe 3. But then I noticed you said if you haven't got a mobile phone signal, you're in a special group, and our mobile signal on the North Coast is not the best. Let me put it that way. So are we relying on a mobile phone signal, or will it come through the wire?
No, so it comes through the wire. So the digital voice works through this, right? But
Okay.
the reason why we're not doing anyone without any mobile phone signal yet is kind of a resilience piece. It's a backup if there's a power cut, because you don't understand power cuts happen, especially if you're in a more rural location. If you were, in the middle of Belfast, chances of power cuts are a lot lower than if you are in a rural setting, and we understand that. So what we've been tasked with by Ofcom is an hour. So we need to be able to provide, like, for people with a healthcare pendant, just with a healthcare pendant, they need to have an hour backup battery provided. If you don't have a healthcare pendant, we don't have to provide you with a backup. So that's where your mobile phone signal becomes useful if you're out in the sticks. So that's what we say. If you haven't got a mobile phone signal at all, we probably wouldn't move you just yet. Just because we know for that resilience piece, we probably would like to look at what kind of services are there and how we'd like to approach you in the future. That's all it is. But yeah, definitely the signal comes down your broadband is how we would approach it. And in terms of speeds, digital voice will work on less than 1 megabyte of speed. So it really will work on the slowest of broadband connections. And it doesn't impact your speeds either. So if you're on the telephone, your broadband will work just fine.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. Yes, we do suffer from power cuts and poor mobile phone signal, but our broadband is excellent.
Super. Good news. Good news. Yes, actually, in Northern Ireland, I will point out that in terms of coverage of good broadband in Northern Ireland, you're the best in the UK by some distance. I think in terms of what we call full fibre broadband, I think you're on 96% coverage. Just to compare that to where I live over here in Wales, we are on 48% and you're on 96%. You're double basically your competitors over there. So you've got very, very good broadband over there in Northern Ireland. You're a lucky bunch.
Okay.
Mary, see there with your hand up.
Yeah. Yes, I'm curious about it's digital voice, but if you have a wire from your if it's a wire from the telephone pole to your phone, how does that work? Are you going to replace that part of the connection, or how does that work?
No, so from the pole outside, I assume obviously is what the question is. So the infrastructure that comes into your house isn't going to change, because yes, your house may be connected via an old copper cable to a telegraph pole outside. That isn't going to be moved at all, because your broadband comes down that telephone service anyway, unless you are on what's called fibre to the premises. So outside your house won't change. Inside your house, the only thing that changes is you unplugging your telephone from the wall and plugging it into your router. That's all that changes. Everything else will remain the same. Outside of your home, in years down the line, and you're probably talking 10, 15, maybe 20 years time, they may start to look at recovering some of the old copper cables, but this is years down the line, probably a decade or more until that kind of activity begins. But we can only start to do that once everybody's on the newest version of broadband, which is currently in the marketplace.
Thank you. And if it was changed to fibre to the house, which I think is called full fibre,
that's right.
What about your phone? Does it come over the full fibre as well as your broadband?
Yeah, so the full fibre, it's better for you to have full fibre. It's a much better product all round. So what you'll be able to do is, if you still want a landline, you don't have to have a landline once you're on full fibre. It's a great option for you. You can actually stop your landline service altogether if you wish, and save yourself a bit of money. So there's that option for you as well. But yeah, it's the same technology, same thing. It's broadband down your telephone line. If it's on full fibre or if it's on the old fibre to the cabinet fibre, it'll work in both the same way. So for you, it's the same for you all here on the telephone. You just plug it into your router, and the experience would be the same inside.
Thank you.
Yvonne.
Thank you, and thank you for your talk. I looked at my router and it doesn't have a place to plug the phone in. So how does that work? Will someone call with a new router, and will that mean that my broadband is switched off temporarily?
Thank you, Yvonne. I did mention this earlier, but just in case anybody missed it, I'll go through it again. So this is the router that you need. This is called a Smart Hub 2, right? You'll recognize it from this lights up in a nice blue ring, this outer ring here. So if you haven't got this version, we send it to you through the post, right? Probably about 4 weeks before you switch across. So the switch takes about 35 days in total. So you'd get your first letter, which is what we call an awareness communication. So you say, digital voice is coming, here it comes. About a week later, Yvonne, you're going to be moved on, let's just say the 10th of November kind of thing, right? So we say 10th of November, big date. And then you get, your next letter will involve one of these. And it'll be posted straight through your letterbox, right? Because these little stands that you can see here, they fold down, nice and flat, box, straight through your letterbox. You can plug this in and start working straight away, right? But the telephone bit won't work until the 10th of November, until the migration date. So you can plug this in and start using it straight away as your new router. But the telephone bit, you'd have to wait until the actual date to plug it in, if you understand me.
Thank you. And how do you order the device for the second phone in the house?
As part of the communication that we send out to you, that process is mapped out for you, because not everybody needs one of these, but you do get the option to have one for free. Now, the one for free that you can get is ordered from the EE store. It's an online web store, and you can get one for free. Not everybody needs one, but it's outlined exactly how you can get one with a voucher code. Very simple and straightforward. If you need more than one, they're $9.99 each to purchase. So some people have 4, 5, 6 phones in their homes, but one will do for most people. I know. I don't even need one. I've had digital voice myself, I should point out, for about 6 years. Works perfectly. It's a wonderful service.
On your presentation, you said for older people, the start date was going to be delayed.
That's right.
So is it when is that? Is that over 60? And when is that? Is that in a couple of months? Because I thought it's going to happen soon.
So the age kind of profile, and we've been guided on this by our digital voice advisory group, right? A group of charities. They've said 75 plus, right? So if you're 75 or over, you're classed as maybe needing additional support and help and advice. So we should wait. That being said, if you don't want to wait, let me know, and I can get you moving much quicker. Because all I really need is what equipment you need. Do you need one of these? Do you need one of these? And your telephone number, and I can start the process for you, and I can probably get you on digital voice by Christmas. So if this this kind of session has put it all fresh in your mind, and you think, I'm confident, let's get it done, and I can probably get you on it by Christmas. As I said, telephone number and what equipment you need is all I need from yourselves, and I can probably, get the ball rolling for you.
Okay, thanks, James. That's great.
No problem. James.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. We've already made the switch, and whilst the quality is very good, one thing that frustrates me is that even to dial next door, I still have to put 028 in front of the number. Have you any comment there?
Yeah, because it works off a slightly different technology. You do have to put your area code in, just like you would on a mobile phone, for everywhere you ring. So it's worth having that up for everybody. So if you're ringing your next door neighbour, if you're ringing somebody down the street, you have to put the area code in for every single person that you dial. It's much in the same way as you do with a mobile phone. So yes, you're absolutely correct there, James. It's something that you have to do, but to be honest, it's something I failed to mention because it's something I've become so accustomed to doing for years and years and years. And it's something I've always had to do on a mobile phone since I was about 15, and that was a long time ago. So something I've become accustomed to. But yeah, it is a fact that you have to do it, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Right?
Yes. So I've got one, and a little bit more of a personal one. Our phone was rather ancient, so I decided to replace it anyway. So I have been sent, and I bought a new phone from there, I think from the EE store you mentioned, and it's got a connector which goes to the mains, but it doesn't seem to have a wire to go to the internet hub. It's just got this socket. Sorry. It's got the mains plug at the end, and I can't see a second wire for going to.
It might not even have the connection on it. It might be a wireless phone already set up for digital voice.
Okay, 'cause it's just a ride. So I don't need a wire to go to the router.
You do not.
Happy days, because our router is 8 foot high next to the where the electricity switches are, and I'm trying to work out how on earth I'm going to fix the phone up to it.
No, my one doesn't plug into the router. So some phones you can get. So if you want to go to the expense of purchasing new phones, you can buy them without the telephone cable, and they will work wirelessly, completely wirelessly. You can even get some ones with things like Amazon Alexa built in and things like that as well to make dialing easier and all sorts. There's lots of gadgets you can have if you want them. But yeah, my one doesn't have a cable either, Brian. So yeah,
Okay.
much easier.
Happy days. So what do? I just wait for the 10th of November and it'll start working?
Yeah, is that your date? Is that your switchover date?
Was no, sorry, I don't know. Just you mentioned that date.
Oh yeah, sorry, I plucked the date out of the air in my
Okay,
example for someone. So if you want to swap sooner, we can talk separately, and I can just take some basic details off you, and we can. Well, maybe what I'll say is once this call's over, if anybody wants to move sooner, stay on the call, and I'll take your details down one by one, and we can start the ball rolling sooner for you.
I'm not in a rush. What will happen? We'll get an email to tell us we're changing over.
So a letter comes out to you when the time comes. So if you're under 75, that letter will come quite quickly. If you're over 75, that could be in about a year's time.
Okay.
Super.
Lovely. Thank you.
Jill, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
We're on with PlusNet. How does that work? Because I believe PlusNet comes in on the BT landline.
Yeah, so PlusNet are a little bit different. So PlusNet do not have, so this is my knowledge of PlusNet, okay? I work for BT, not PlusNet, but I do have a slight knowledge there. From what I understand is PlusNet are not offering a digital voice service at all. So you would have to leave PlusNet and move across to a different supplier when the time comes.
And when will we be forced to move across?
So the switchover date will be obviously the end of 2025. That's when the actual lines will be cut, right? So you'll have to move by the end of 2025. So until then, you'll be okay. However, I'm sure that there will be lots of great deals out there which might entice you to move sooner. But if you want to maintain your landline service, you'll need to move to someone who does have a digital voice service. Obviously, BT have one, EE have one, and there's going to be probably a few hundred other people out there. Because on the OpenReach network, which you currently are, there's over 600 different suppliers of broadband, which you'll be able to work with. But I do know that OpenReach don't offer, that PlusNet don't offer a digital voice service.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Right, any other questions from anyone?
I'm on Shell, and I wondered, do they have digital?
So with Shell, I couldn't tell you, DJ. The thing is, with other providers, I can't really speak on their behalf because I work for BT. So I can tell you what BT and EE do. I can't really speak for what some of the other providers do out there. So your best place is to speak to them. They may not even ask you to plug into here, right into the back of this. They may have a different technology in there. So really, if you're working with if you're working on a BT network, then great. I can tell you exactly what to do. Other providers, I would suggest quick ring through to Shell and see what their scenario is.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I'm surprised by PlusNet because surely they're a subsidiary of BT.
They are indeed, yes.
Because,
But
again, I'm with PlusNet and very happy with them, but I'm a bit taken aback that I may have to leave them.
Yeah, to be honest, what the decision is there, it might be a technology decision as to why they have decided not to offer the service. I don't know, to be honest, but yes, that's my understanding of the scenario. So yeah, if you give PlusNet a call, they'll be able to tell you exactly what the impact will be for you when you need to switch by, and exactly what costs will be involved to move to another supplier.
Thank you.
No worries. Anne, well, it's not Anne anymore. It's but yes, hello Anne, go for it.
Sorry, are you telling me?
Yes,
Right.
yourself.
It was a question on the fibre optics coming into the house. At the moment, we're on copper cable. I was informed by the last BT engineer that was out here that we would be getting fibre optics in almost straight away. Although we're in the 75 plus age group, we would still be interested in switching over to copper to fibre optic. What is the situation with that? Will we get it, or are we being kicked back for a?
So these are two separate programs, okay? So the fibre optic rollout will still happen regardless of digital voice. They're not working side by side. So if you've been told you're going to get fibre, you'll still get fibre regardless of this program. This program works completely independently. So you'll still get fibre, yes. But
you don't know the time scale.
No, that'll be Openreach, slightly different company. Though Openreach are owned by BT, they operate completely independently from us. They treat us the same as every other supplier. They don't tell us their plans, so I don't know the answer, unfortunately.
That explains why we haven't got it yet, because I was under the impression that we were getting it straight away.
I've no doubt it won't take long. There is a website you can go to, which is the Openreach Where and When. If you search that, you'll get a website. You can pop your postcode in, and they'll tell you when they'll be building in your area.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions for anyone?
If there aren't any more questions, Grant, can we thank you very much for your service today? Very pleased to get you to come to talk to us. Thank you very much indeed.
Absolute pleasure. What I'll do is obviously we'll draw it to a close. I'll stay on for anyone who wants to move immediately, once feels confident, wants to switch, and or anybody has any more kind of personal questions, I'll just stay on. But otherwise, feel free everyone to drop off. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.